Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, September 21st, 2023 final budget public hearing for Orange County government. As we begin this evening, I'm going to ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. To our great nation, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. Before we begin, I want to make some acknowledgments. First, this evening, we have Commissioners Moore, Uribe, and Gomez-Cordero, who could not be physically present with us. However, they are listening remotely. They will be unable to participate in the discussions and will not be able to vote this evening. So with that, we're going to move forward. At this time, I'm going to go to the County Administrator, Mr. Byron Brooks, as we begin our hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of tonight's public hearing is to consider and adopt final millages and budgets for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023 and ending September 30th, 2024. Public notice of tonight's meeting has been provided by an advertisement placed in the Orlando Sentinel on Sunday, September 17th, 2023. At this public hearing, we will be announcing individual final millage rates to be followed by the adoption of the final millage and budget resolutions. There are no changes to the millage rates and budgets from what was previously approved at the first public hearing on September 7th, 2023. Mayor, with your permission, I'd like to call on Kurt Peterson, OMB Director, to announce the millage information.
All right, Mr. Peterson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. The following tentative millage rates are hereby established and fixed for the following purposes and entities. The associated percentages are the percentages by which the millage rate adopted herein is more or less than the rollback millage rate for each of the following purposes and entities. The countywide millage rollback rate is 4.0387. The proposed millage is 4.4347, a 9.81% increase over the rollback rate. The unincorporated tax district rollback rate is 1.6464. The proposed millage is 1.8043, a 9.59% increase over the rollback rate. The county fire and EMS rollback rate is 2.0475. The proposed millage is 2.2437, a 9.58% increase over the rollback rate. The OBT corridor improvement rollback rate is 0.5441. The proposed millage is 0.5932, a 9.02% increase over the rollback rate. The OBT neighborhoods improvement rollback rate is 0.2335. The proposed millage is 0.2554, a 9.38% increase over the rollback rate. The Orlando Central Park MSTU rollback rate is 1.0622. The proposed millage is 1.1549, a 8.73% increase over the rollback rate. The iDrive Master Transit rollback rate is 0.2156. The proposed millage is 0.2334, a 8.26% increase over the rollback rate. The iDrive bus service rollback rate is 0.6933. The proposed millage is 0.7523, a 8.51% increase over the rollback rate. The North iDrive improvement rollback rate is 0.1499. The proposed millage is 0.1601, a 6.8% increase over the rollback rate. The Apopka Vineland improvement rollback rate is 0.5575. The proposed millage is 0.6, a 7.62% increase over the rollback rate. The Bass Lake rollback rate is 1.3216. The proposed millage is 1.3872, a 4.96% increase over the rollback rate. The Big Sand Lake rollback rate is 0.1297. The proposed millage is 0.1378, a 6.25% increase over the rollback rate. The Lake Holden rollback rate is 2.2406. The proposed millage is 2.5337, a 13.08% increase over the rollback rate. The Lake Irma rollback rate is 0.5776. The proposed millage is 0.62, a 7.34% increase over the rollback rate. The Lake Jean rollback rate is 0.0759. The proposed millage is 0.0410, a 45.98% decrease over the rollback rate. The Lake Jessamine rollback rate is 0.6142. The proposed millage is 0.6545, a 6.56% increase over the rollback rate. The Lake Killarney rollback rate is 0.8001. The proposed millage is 0.8613, a 7.65% increase over the rollback rate. The Lake Mary rollback rate is 2.6227. The proposed millage is 3.0, a 14.39% increase over the rollback rate. The Lake Ola rollback rate is 1.8330. The proposed millage is 2.0, a 9.11% increase over the rollback rate. The Lake Pickett rollback rate is 1.6879. The proposed millage is 1.7597, a 4.25% increase over the rollback rate. The Lake Price rollback rate is 1.0868. The proposed millage is 1.0719, a 1.37% decrease over the rollback rate. The Lake Rose rollback rate is 1.8249. The proposed millage is 1.5094, a 17.29% decrease over the rollback rate. The Lake Sioux millage is being reestablished, which is currently set at 0. The proposed millage is 1.25. The Little Lake Fairview rollback rate is 0.4480. The proposed millage is 0.5, a 11.61% increase over the rollback rate. The South Lake Fairview rollback rate is 0.1567. The proposed millage is 0.0171, a 89.09% decrease over the rollback rate. The Lake Conway Water Navigation rollback rate is 0.3806. The proposed millage is 0.5750, a 51.08% increase over the rollback rate. The Windermere Navigation rollback rate is 0.2327. The proposed millage is 0.2528, a 8.64% increase over the rollback rate. The aggregate millage rollback rate is 6.2329. The proposed millage is 6.6394, a 6.41% increase over the rollback rate. Let me repeat the last just to be sure. Aggregate millage rollback rate is 6.2393. The proposed millage is 6.6394, a 6.41% increase over the rollback rate. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Peterson.
Almost got there.
That was a lot of numbers you had to go over there. We've reached the point in the meeting this evening for public comment. With that, I'm going to open the floor for any public comment. Mr. Peterson, are there members of the public who wish to be heard on the millage and budget?
Yes, Mayor, we have several speaker cards, so I will call up, if with your permission, 5 at a time.
Yes, and then as you, to all of you who are in the audience today, this is the only opportunity this evening for the public to have comment. We will be addressing the board on millage and budget related issues. If you have any comments, we invite you to come forward at this time.
Okay. I'll call the first 5 speakers, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak, and please have your name and say your name and address for the record. Tara Felton, Angel Perry, Alex Otero, Amira Roy, and Jacqueline Young.
Hey y'all, my name is
Ma'am,
Tara Felton.
name and oh, okay, go. Sorry.
Tara Felton, no, you're fine. Tara Felton, 595 West Church Street. So my name is Tara Felton, my pronouns are they, them, and I'm here in support of the thousands of residents of Orange County struggling to pay their medical bills and dealing with the ramifications of unpaid debt. As an organizer at Central Florida Jobs with Justice, I've had the opportunity to connect with residents about their healthcare access. Medical debt is an alarming issue in our county. Medical issues are often something that comes out of the blue, and with how expensive the cost of living is and how low wages are, it can disrupt a family for years afterwards. I have spoken with families who are unable to get the medical attention they need now because of past debt, and folks whose credit was impacted so harshly that they now are having trouble getting car loans or approved for housing. The commission acted quickly to budget SLFR funds when they were released to the county, but now, 14 months before the deadline, there are $160 million of funds designated for projects that have not yet been obligated, either because the projects are no longer active or haven't gotten off the ground. We can't risk having millions of dollars of these funds go unobligated and having to return them to the Treasury Department. We have partners at RIP Medical Debt and Community Change that are ready to assist with us in delivering this necessary relief to residents and to help the board identify other funding sources for some of their allocated projects. We would love to find a time to speak directly with the board and go over our research and show how we can make this project happen. We're here to ask the mayor and the county commission to use some of the money that remains unobligated from the state and local fiscal recovery funds the county received in 2021 to help people across the county recover. That clock is so stressful. Across the county recover from the financial impacts of the pandemic. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Felton. We'll move to the next speaker, please.
My name is Angel Perry. I am the Executive Vice President, CWA 3108. Address there is 2220 Edgewater Drive, Orlando, Florida. I represent hundreds of residents here in Orlando. I handle benefits for the people I have about 20 contracts. So those that represent here in Orlando, those families, I am the third or fourth call when someone's sick, hospitalized, or dies. Families here are devastated. This is unallocated funds that we're asking the commissioners to speak with us about. They're federal funds. It doesn't come out of the state budget. People are devastated. They are not recovering. In order to have a healthy economy, the families that work every day, 40-plus hours a day to make this city great needs to have assisted from the money they already paid tax dollars into. So we are asking for you to hear us out officially on these unallocated funds. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Perry. We'll move to the next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Alex Otero. I'm a county organizer at Florida Rising at 200 East Robinson. I'm here in support of thousands of residents of Orange County struggling to pay their medical bills and dealing with the ramifications of unpaid debt. Although some board members are currently helping residents access provider tax programs, these programs don't assist people after 1 year of medical treatment. Partnering with RIP Medical Debt can help Orange County residents who have been struggling for years. We're here to ask the mayor and the county commission to use some of the money that remains unobligated from the state and local fiscal recovery funds the county received in 2021 to help people across the county recover from the financial impacts of the pandemic. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Otero. Next speaker, please.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Emma Roy, and my address is 2337 Albion Avenue, Orlando, Florida, 32833. And I'm a fast speaker. we were very badly affected by the pandemic in our house. First of all, economically with both jobs, but luckily my husband, an engineer, was able to get work. However, overall it cut our income by about 40%, and that's where we're at right now. So our lives changed very, very radically from being able to comfortably get by and to just not. I then developed long COVID, and so there are sizable medical debts in our family. Some of the bills are waiting to be paid and can't be paid, and the health places make you jump through hoops. So it's very inaccessible. I've had about half of the tests done between heart tests and neurology, and I just can't afford. It's a question of whether I pay my kids, feed my kids, or keep a roof over our head, or look after myself. And I believe that there's other communities that are in a worse situation, or same or worse situation than we are. I think Orlando, this is incredibly difficult because people are just so close to homelessness. I reached out about a year ago because funds that were supposed to be accessible aren't through the state. So I really hope that through this progressive board that you do the right thing, look after your citizens, look after the medical debt. It's been done before, it can be done again. It is the right thing to do. And just as Glitter was mentioning, my credit score just dropped by 220 or something within the past week, so that's quite not uplifting. So please lift up your citizens that voted for you and allocate and obligate those monies to medical debt, please. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Roy. We'll move to the next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Jacqueline Young. I represent 5909 Groveline Drive is my mother's address, who I am here to represent, and my address is 7244 Woodhill Park Drive here in Orlando. And I am here to support the 1,000, piggybacking off of what everyone else said, the residents of Orange County struggling to pay medical bills and dealing with the ramifications. But I'm also here to speak in regards to my mother, Blonza Mae Donaldson Young. She was Miss Jones High, 1955, and she is currently 87 years old, battling liver cancer. She was admitted to Florida Hospital, then on to Maitland Rehabilitation Center, and she is currently at home dealing with being 87 with liver cancer. And the bills are so insurmountable, but not only for her, but for us as a family that are going through this. And that's just my personal story. But as you know, since the pandemic, the huge medical bills have piled up, not only for my mother, but for everyone else in Orange County, probably some of your relatives as well. It's a $250,000, that's a conservative measure. And of course, Orange County is higher than most of Florida. And we are here to implore that you use some of that money, some of that obligated money, and think about those of us who have these unpaid bills, unpaid medical bills, and are suffering. Our parents are suffering. All of our kids are suffering. We are suffering. And as I said, I know each and every one of you knows someone who's struggling with medical bills. So if you guys could really do that for us, that would be wonderful. So thank you, county commissioners, county attorneys, staff, and of course you, Mayor Demings. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your comments, and sorry to hear about the issues your mother is encountering. I'm a proud graduate of Jones High School, so way to go. Former Miss Jones High School, so we're going to pay some deference to her. Next speaker, please.
All right. So the next 5 speakers are Maria Bolton-Jobert, Erica Gomez-Tejeda, Natalia Solaire, Terry Falbo, and then Sam Delgado.
Good evening. Got docked to 2 minutes. All right. Maria Bolton-Jobert, 1377 Page Avenue, Orlando, Florida, 32806. I'm here backing Tara and the other speakers that you've heard on this medical debt issue, just like we spoke last time we were here. I live in the city of Orlando in Orange County. I'm here in support of the thousands of residents of Orange County who are struggling to pay their medical bills and are dealing with the ramifications of unpaid debt. Although my family currently, I say currently, doesn't have any medical debt, I don't want any families in my community struggling. I cannot tell you how many GoFundMes that I am aware of, that I have donated to. I know a lot of people that are struggling right now. Prices for raising a family continue to rise, and a person cannot help it if they get sick. There's preventative care issues, or if you go to the ER. Thanks to the pandemic and pre-pandemic conditions, huge medical bills have piled up for at least 250,000 Orange County residents, at least 250,000 Orange County residents, and that is a conservative measure. This is higher than the state of Florida average for medical debt, with Florida as a whole having some of the most medical debt in the nation. We're here to ask the mayor and the county commission to use some of the money that remains unobligated from the state and local fiscal recovery funds that the county received, I believe, in 2021 to help people across the county recover from the financial impacts of the pandemic. And I also want to say because of the housing crisis, that's the other issue. And I'm telling people all the time, I'm in all these mom groups. I hope you guys are getting more emails because I'm getting more people engaged to contact you, to be aware of who represents them, to know everybody that they voted for. They need to reach out to them and let them know, hey, I'm having an affordable housing crisis issue. Let's stop with the Airbnbs. Let's stop with Blackstone, the stock market, invest in local community. And this medical debt issue is huge, you guys. And I'm just going to keep bugging people to get in contact with you. So thank you for your time this evening and for hearing us out.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jobert. We'll move to the next speaker, please.
Buenas noches, Mayor Demings.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches, Commissioners. Erika Gomez Tejeda, Avalon Park, 32828. My name is Erika Gomez Tejeda, and I'm the co-chair of Hablamos Español Florida, and I'm here on behalf of our organization to support Job with Justice efforts to reallocate the $8.7 million towards the medical debt relief for roughly 250,000 Orange County residents. As you know, our organization organizes to provide opportunities and rights for monolingual Spanish speakers who are navigating their lives in Florida while learning a second language and a social system. This particular instance, our motives for organizing go beyond that of rights and opportunities. We are deeply motivated by the desire to provide the help for the least of these, the poor and the stranger. We're concerned for the people that are helplessly overburdened by medical bills. Hispanics make up 1/3 of the residents whose families earn less than $400,000 of the poverty line. We know that the economic opportunities, these families are often limited to low-wage and entry jobs. Without speaking English, these families are also vulnerable to missed opportunities for help and must rely on others to navigate their world, including their healthcare system. And it's a system that's broken. People are encouraged to go to the emergency room with chest pains and oftentimes end up with diagnoses unrelated to heart conditions, but left with thousands of dollars in medical bills. Other times, since English learners don't usually have either health insurance or paid time off, they put going off to the doctor until their conditions are so grave they require a much higher level of care, once again causing them to endure unaffordable medical debt. Today, Hablamos Español Florida advocates for these families and asks you to reconsider rebudgeting options that will create not just for the Spanish speakers we represent, but for the 250,000 Orange County residents who are also facing unaffordable medical debt. With a budget of billions of dollars, we could be hard-pressed to find anything that provides direct relief for 250,000 of our residents in an $8.7 million investment. We urge you to consider the budgeting option for this cause. And on a final note, our organization is hoping to partner with you in the coming year with other ways to decrease medical debt and save more lives. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tejeda. We'll move to the next speaker.
Good evening. Good evening, folks. My name is Natalia Solaire. I live at 2406 River Ridge Drive, Orlando, Florida. I'm here in support of the thousands of residents of Orange County struggling to pay their medical bills and dealing with the ramifications of unpaid debt. Not just myself, but my mother, my brother, my close colleagues and friends have struggled with their medical debt and bearing with that burden as they are bombarded by debt collectors. My brother had to get emergency surgery, and with some complications, his debt increased to over $40,000. And that's just one situation that happened pre-COVID that he still struggles with. There should be no reason our community should have to fight so hard to stay and maintain themselves healthy and make ends meet. Local governments around the U.S., from Cook County, Illinois, to Toledo, Ohio, have used state and local fiscal recovery funds to free their residents from medical debt. We're here to ask the mayor and the county commissioners to use some of that money that remains unobligated from the state and local fiscal recovery funds that the county received in 2021 to help people across the county recover from their financial medical impacts. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Terry Falbo, 1038 Windswept Court, Ocoee 34761. I'm here also to urge the commission, county commission, to put some of the uncommitted or unobligated funds towards medical debt. As I talked about at the last meeting a couple weeks ago, I personally right now don't have that. I used a lot of my retirement funds to pay for my mother's health care, and then, I had one of those care credits for a while, but that's been taken care of. But I do know many other people who do have this issue, and one in particular is someone I know who, he was a software engineer at Cape Canaveral, and he got multiple sclerosis. And so he couldn't work anymore. He's on disability. He's trying to get back into the workforce now. But he has over $5,000 in medical debt right now, even though he has insurance. Like most people who have medical debt have insurance, but their insurance just doesn't cover everything. And so it's constantly stressing him out. So I'm just trying to put a personal face, as some of the others have also done, to the story of what this is about. And yes, charity care does exist, but for whatever reason, people can't always access it. They can't get it, and they do have this debt. And these funds, from what I understand, just $100 could wipe out $10,000 in debt. So if people don't really quite understand, I hope that we could set up some meetings with the commissioners, personal meetings, to discuss this in more detail and go over line by line. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Falbo. We'll move to the next speaker.
Good evening, Commission and Mayor Demings. My name is Sam Delgado. I am here on behalf of Central Florida Jobs with Justice. I live at 605 East Concord Street, Orlando, Florida. Thank you for hearing out my colleagues here tonight about the ways that they've been impacted by the crisis of medical debt here in Orange County, where the rate of unpaid debt due to necessary medical procedures outpaces much of the state of Florida, and the healthcare crisis in Florida, of course, being something that is beyond y'all's control, right? We recognize that, and what we're looking at today is something that is well within your power, looking at the state and local fiscal recovery funds that remain unobligated from the American Rescue Plan Act. We've looked at the reports that the county has submitted to the Treasury Department, the last report from April to June, and we see the remaining amount of funds that have gone uncommitted. And, looking at the amount that it takes from approximately a dollar to 1 to 100 proportion of what we've seen that RIP medical debt can do and has done in other localities. Some of the speakers before me mentioned Cook County, Illinois, Toledo, Ohio, and New Orleans. These are programs that exist, and there are many more in the pipeline. So, we've spoken to some of you on the commission and shared the details of how the programs could work, but, we'd love to talk more in depth and, have a sit down with our partners who have put these programs in place in other localities throughout the country. We really appreciate the work that y'all have done already in allocating the funds to support the recovery of residents of Orange County, and we're asking you to just take this one more step to help us out. Appreciate you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Delgado. Next speaker, please.
Mayor, I have no more speaker cards.
All right. Well, thank you to all of the speakers who came tonight. I just want to share some things with you, which how we got to this point. After starting the budget process in the spring of this year and holding 2 full days of budget work sessions this summer, we held a public hearing earlier this month, and now this is the final public hearing regarding the fiscal year 2024 budget. And we've arrived at a balanced budget at this time. A lot of discussion occurred around the budget by members of the public in consultation with members of the Board of County Commission. The budget that we are proposing tonight has a number of issues or areas, I should say, that address the issues that you have brought before us tonight. It will touch on really 4 different pillars that I consider the focus of my administration, and that works to enhancing the overall quality of life for all of us. The members of the board here work every day, working with our staff and other community partners to try to uplift the entire community and make decisions about how we will spend the public's money to benefit the public. Sometimes we don't always agree what those priorities are, but it doesn't mean that the decisions that we made are not in the best interest of the public. The first pillar that I want to touch on a little bit is regarding housing and urban development. There is $136 million allocated for such things as the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and Section 8 funding within the budget that we are presenting. Next is the mental health concerns and that many unfortunately suffer with in our community. We are addressing that within this budget, where $34 million allocated will go to deliver mental and behavioral health services to the homeless, to children, and other vulnerable residents. It will also support many partners like United Ways and the Matthews Hope and Embrace Families community organizations who are delivering services within our community. Children's programs will receive $59 million in funding. Those monies will support the well-being of children, including childhood education and care, homelessness, prevention, Head Start, and the youth mental health programs. And finally, $237 million will go to human services and public assistance to address the needs of people like many of you or those who you may know. It will go to other community action office and crisis and family assistance programs that we will offer through Orange County government. The monies will help seniors, those with disabilities, addiction services, Great Oaks Village and neighborhood beautification programs. And these are just the few of the areas that I wanted to kind of highlight going forward. At the first public hearing for the budget, several members of our community and several of you tonight have addressed the issues associated with medical debt. I want to address the issues that you raised about the reallocation of ARPA funding. ARPA funds are not part of the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget that is being proposed tonight because they are included in the prior year fiscal budget. Those dollars have been committed. Many of them have not been spent at this time. And at some point in the future, if those dollars are not spent, yes, the Board of County Commission will come back and reprioritize. We will take into consideration the comments that you have made and those of others. We will take into consideration the overall needs of our community and then make some decisions. Members of the public who are here tonight to address the use of ARPA funds to relieve medical debt are certainly welcome to meet with staff, and many of you have indicated a desire to do so. we'll gladly sit down and talk to you about it. Our Community and Family Services Director, Ms. Vin Thomas. Ms. Thomas, I saw you. There she is. Okay, Ms. Thomas is the Department Director. We encourage you to perhaps get her business card, follow up, to have conversations with her about specific needs and the future of our budget. And with that, I just wanted to give you and those who may be viewing or listening some feedback. We do care immensely about your overall well-being, and it doesn't stop tonight. It will continue. As public servants, we're here to work with you, to care about you, to advocate for you, to fight for you for various funding, and that doesn't stop tonight. So with that, to members of the Board of County Commission who are present or who are listening, I call for a motion to adopt the millage resolution as presented just a few moments ago. So is there a motion?
So moved, Wilson.
Second,
Commissioner Scott, did you have any other question or comment?
Actually, it was not reference to the budget, but Mr. Delgado, are you still present? Can you come back up just for a second? In your public comment, you referenced about there are other municipalities or governments. Are there any municipalities or local county governments that do that in the state of Florida, pay medical bills that you are aware of?
As so far, no. Y'all would be the first.
Okay. So thank you for saying that. Just know, like, it's a lot helpful when we have local examples, because obviously from state to state laws and statutes change, and we have to make sure that things are applicable to not only our local county ordinances, but things that govern us as it relates to comes from the state legislature. So if there are some other governments that you may have missed, that would certainly be helpful. I know myself, and I'm sure my colleagues would be welcome to meet with you and your team. I've talked to some of your folks, but that's certainly helpful when we try to figure out, is it something that we can do legally? Because we may be able to do something fiscally, but can we do it within state statute? Can we do it within the ordinances we set to govern the county? So if you can get that information, that certainly would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. We have sample contracts already drawn up and everything.
All right.
So I'd be happy to get those to you.
Thank you, Mr. Delgado.
Can you please get any info to Ms. Thomas that she's going to help? She's going to coordinate from the staff review. So that's
Okay.
you can direct that to her as well. Whatever you provide to the commissioners. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Delgado. Mayor, I'll go with the second.
Okay. We do have a motion by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner Scott. If no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes, and it is unanimous. And with that, I'm going to call on Mr. Peterson, our OMB Director, to announce the budget information at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. The proposed budget for fiscal year 2023-24 is $6,740,219,418, a 6.2% decrease from the current fiscal year modified budget.
All right. With that, do we have a motion for approval?
So moved, Scott.
Second, Wilson.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion passes, and it is unanimous. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we do not have any further business before the Board of County Commission this evening, and consequently, we stand adjourned at this time.